What is going on, guys? Klepto here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going more in depth on how important Bakugan stats are and how game changing they can be. Now, previously I went over why you should get certain stats for your certain attribute. Now, obviously, I'm just going to be saying this right now. You don't need to go all in on a certain stat just because you are of a certain attribute. It all comes down to your playstyle. If you want to be an offensive player, defensive player, or if you just want to, do your own thing, balanced, it's all up to you, but at the end of the day, it's your choice. Now, starting off, we're going to be taking a look at the early Bakugan and exactly why they're so strong. If we take a Bakugan like Falconeer, who has 260 Gs starting out, combined with his offensive attributes, and combine him with an offensive attribute such as, let's just say, Pyrus in this instance. The Pyrus special throw is obviously Pyrus Burst, and this deals massive damage on impact with another Bakugan. You can use this in combination with going around the map by giving him even more endurance than he has, which is already a pretty good stat. He's already at 3, so you'll get around the map twice if you want to. You could gain more G power that way, and you can ambush your opponent with the special throw, which will be guaranteed spear attack if you hit him. Or you can go all-out offense, which his speed stat is at 5, which is maxed out, which means you'll be doing massive damage, if not a critical KO. Now let's take a look at a Bakugan like Serpenoid, which you start with at the beginning of the game. Now the reason Serpenoid is still the worst Bakugan in the game is simply due to the fact that his G power is too low. His stats are very balanced. He has a higher jump stat than everything else, which jump is the worst stat you can have in the game, objectively speaking. And due to that fact alone, that he has all his stats nearly into jump as well as 150 G power, you can't really compensate for the extra amounts of points he has to put in the rest of his attributes, right? Obviously, depending on the player you are, these could be very good stats for you. If you're a defensive player, you could obviously max out defense and get some more endurance. You could get one more endurance, go around the map, get G power, stand on a card, and you'll be happy with that. However, you'll still need to upgrade his G power, and if you were to do that, yeah. A Serpenoid that goes purely into G power is maxed out at 285 Gs, making him literally only 20 Gs higher than a Falconeer at level 1. If you ask me, it's not worth upgrading, especially since it's very expensive. The cost of upgrading a Bakugan is the same for each one of them, so at the end of the day, you're wasting a lot of money. Alright, hold on. So I just realized I haven't explained what the individual stats do, so I'm going to go over that first. Now, if we take a look at speed, speed is by far the most important attribute for a attacking player. Let's just say you like spear attacking, speed is your go-to. If you don't have speed, you're not doing damage. The higher your speed stat, the more spear attack damage you will do. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. So therefore, a defensive Bakugan like Centipoid, obviously who has 5 defense and 4 acceleration, is definitely not a spear attacking Bakugan. However, you can change that due to the fact that he has 240 G power. So instead of going all the way on to the G power and adding to that, you could instantly just, put 2 more points into speed and you'll have a decent attacking mon. Next up, we got defense. I don't really think I need to say much, but obviously that is the higher your defense is, the lower G power you lose from a spear attack. Yeah, that's basically it. Acceleration is how fast you are going around the map, which means when you throw a Bakugan and you stay and try to move with it, the faster or the higher your acceleration is, the faster you'll move to a certain point that you're going for. The slower or the lower your acceleration is, the worse it gets. So if you don't have a higher acceleration than 3 while you're on the Chaos map, you'll be struggling a lot because I don't know what it is, but the field is like made out of glass or something, which makes it very hard for Bakugan with less than 3 acceleration to move. 3 or 4, don't quote me on that. It's something like that, but yeah, it's pretty bad. Very important stat for those who want to go around the map as well. Next stat, we have endurance. This is obviously your stamina when you go around the field. Very important for defensive players. So yeah, I mean, not much else to say. Next, you got jump. the most useless stat in the game. Some arenas you need jump in order to access the trampolines, such as the Pirates Arena before you enter the final tournament. You'll also need a higher jump stat, jump free, I believe, to access the darkest trampolines, with the darkest arena on a higher difficulty than the final boss. Don't quote me on that. It's been a long time since I played on it. So that's basically what all the stats do. Now, based off of what I've just said, you should be able to figure out what you should be doing with your Bakugan. You can have one offensive, one defensive, and one balanced. You can have all offensive, you can have all defensive, you can do whatever you feel. However, if that's not enough, let's head on over to your attribute. Alright, starting off with Pyrus Strike, which I called Burst earlier. Obviously, basically the same thing. You can call whatever you want. Anyways, going over Pyrus Strike, it gives extra damage to sphere attacks, and it also breaks crystals in the environment. So, when you hit a crystal, usually when you sphere attack it, you get slowed down and you start moving slower. However, with Pyrus Strike, you'll be going the same speed you went when you were sphere attacking. So, you'll be flying across the entire map, basically. Which is very nice, considering you're going for the crystal, and while you're doing that, you can also just go ahead straight on to a Bakugan and do the exact same amount of damage, plus get yourself a field advantage. Could be Fickle Fingers of Fate, could be, you know, G-Power Swap, anything you want. Very good strategic ability there, very offensive, and also very nice to go around the map, even though, you know, you might be an attacker, you still have the Pyrus Strike ability, which makes it so you don't get slowed down, so still pretty neat. Next up, we have the Aquos Spiral. Bakugan will be surrounded with water, and your steering will take much longer time to run out. Basically, you'll be gaining a lot of endurance. So, again, those of you who like to go around the map 2 to 3 times, you can with this ability. Take your time. Do whatever you feel like. Next up, we have one of my favorite special shots, Subterra Quake. Your Bakugan will have the force of a boulder. When your Bakugan stands, it causes a huge earthquake, which decreases opponent's G-Power. And that goes for every opponent Bakugan that is next, or one card next to yours, I believe. I don't think it's the entire field. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the one card next to you. So, let's say you got two opposing Bakugan on a card each next to yours. They'll both be losing, let's say, 100 or 50, something between that. I have no idea. You'll probably see it in the background, but yeah, it's still a pretty good ability, very good offensive ability, as well as a, you know, if you've gone around the map, gotten some G-Power, and you stand, that will be a big advantage. Next up, we have Chaos Lightning. This one is basically just you shoot, you do whatever you want, and you gain G-Power passively. So you can just go around the map, gain G-Power. You could easily have an extra, 600 G-Power by just going around the map. Obviously, this is best if you have a Bakugan with maxed out endurance. That way you can just get the maximum profit out of this. Next up, Darkest Phantom. Similar to Subterra Quake. You stand, you absorb G-Power from your opponent. It's usually 40 to 60. But yeah, it's very good. It makes it so you can't be attacked or sphere attacked by other Bakugan. So, you know, they'll go right through you because you're a Phantom. Next, we got the Ventus Storm. Bakugan will ride in a vicious tornado. The force of the winds will collect surrounding items, even if your Bakugan doesn't touch them. So you'll just have a tornado that circles you while you go around the map, collecting G-Power for you. And, well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty nice, huh? You don't even do anything, you just ride along, which is very good for the Ventus map, using the tornado, because that means you don't have to move from the middle once you're, like, on that roller coaster thing, which is really nice. Now, all in all, we've gone over all the important stats. We've gone over the special shots for your attribute. Now, the question is, what should I invest in with my special shot? Now, this is purely subjective on my end, and as it should be. I'm just saying what you should do with your special shot, considering that's how you benefit the most. However, it's your playstyle that will define how this works. So, first of all, we got Pyro Strike. Me personally, I definitely think you should run an offensive team with Pyro Strike. I mean, obviously, that's what it's made for. I definitely think you should just sphere attack your opponent instantly with Pyro Strike. And that should either be a critical KO or he'll be down to his last marbles. Aqua Spiral, I definitely think this is just a, you know, a either defensive first turn, or, you know, you could be offensive. I would say this is more of a balanced / defensive team than anything. I don't think, yeah, I really don't think this is anything you should use offensively. Oh, by the way, if you don't know what I mean by that, it means invest in your endurance or defense. And for Pyro Strike, invest in your speed and acceleration. Definitely the two best stats. Next up, we have Subterra Quake. This is definitely an offensive attribute, I would say. If you run Subterra offensive, oh my god, Subterra Quake is going to be delicious. Now, obviously it works best in groups, but you don't need to follow that rule. Come on now. Why would you, right? I say run speed, acceleration, and endurance. And with that, I mean, bro, you could go around the map, stand, and then boom. He's either going to have to use an ability card immediately, or he's going to suffer the consequences. Next up, Chaos Lightning. You could be a balanced player if you want. You could literally be anything with this attribute because you just gain G power from going around the map. Do whatever you want. You don't need to follow any certain guideline. Personally, I would just say get endurance up to 3 or 4. And yeah, take your time. Do whatever it is that you want to do. There's literally no rush. Next up, Darkus Phantom. I definitely think Darkus is an offensive attribute. You could use it defensively since it does make it so you can't get sphere attacked, but I don't see the point, especially since you're absorbing your enemy's G power and using it for your own. You might as well use that on the offensive so that they are on a disadvantage, if you get what I'm trying to say. Definitely use speed as well as acceleration. Now, obviously, you can't sphere attack while you're in Darkus Phantom, as you'll be passing through your opponents, but I still think you should use it as an offensive attribute, even though Darkus Phantom is more of a defensive-based, defensive-based ability, yeah. Next up, Ventus Storm. Ventus Storm, you could be the same as Chaos. You could literally do whatever. It's really doesn't matter, but since you are a Ventus player, if you are to play on maps with those trampolines that are higher, I would actually say get Jump, because your ability will be useless if you can't utilize it to its maximum potential. So get Jump up to 3 and then leave it there. Get some more G power or endurance and then go around the map collecting. Do what you need to do. At the end of the day, just make sure if you're playing on a map that has big trampolines, make sure you're prepared for that with at least one Bakugan that has a jump free, which that could, I mean, Leonidas is jump free, so that's already the problem solved right there. But you know what I mean. And with that, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. I hope this gave you some, you know, some ideas on what you can do with your team. Obviously, again, it's all up to you. I can't say this enough. This is your choice. I'm not telling you guys how to play the game. This is just my subjective opinion on how the different attributes should be played with their obvious Bakugan, right? If you have a Centipoid in Chaos, max out his endurance, give him some more acceleration, and you don't need to bother with his speed. Just go around the map, get your G power, stand on the card. He's got 5 defense, 4 endurance, and what, like 2 or 3 acceleration? Bro is literally the tank of the game. But yeah, enough said. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.